Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a special Tuesday matinee edition of the Do Dissidents podcast at a special 3 p.m. Eastern time slot. Thank you all for accommodating us and being here. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobbular, of course.
Hola!
Yes, we got a big crowd in here for a special timed show. 456 strong, I beg your pardon, in the Rumble chat. 460 over on YouTube. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, all that good stuff. Closing out a busy day here with you. We had a meeting a few hours ago. We just wrapped, just a half hour ago, wrapped a pre-recorded interview with the great Kim Iverson, which came out really good. We're very excited to premiere that. We'll be premiering that, what do we say, tomorrow? That's Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Yep. So that'll be done in its entirety.
That was a really good interview, man. She was very, very interesting.
Yeah, that was really good. Very happy with how that came out. Very excited to share that with all of you guys. So that'll be premiering tomorrow, 9 p.m. in its entirety on both YouTube and Rumble simultaneously. And then we will, of course, have clips out for that in the coming days as well. So it has been a busy, busy day so far, and the show has only started. Not much time to prepare today. This is a fake it till you make it day. We're going to sound like Kamala Harris today. The election is happening this year.
I don't even know what the fuck we're doing. Kate was like,
Americans.
So what do you want to cover today? I said surprise me.
Americans will soon vote. Some of them will vote for Kamala Harris, and some of them will vote for Donald Trump. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. See you Thursday. Over and out.
All states, you can vote for Jill Stein as a write-in.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Or you can write in Jill Stein's name. Remember how to spell it properly. Yes. I was up late prepping. We come prepared as we always do. We kid, but it has been a long day, and we are on for the next couple hours. So thank you guys very much for being here. We appreciate all of you, and make sure you tune in tomorrow, 9 p.m. for the Kim Iverson interview that came out really good. Very excited to share that with you all. Let's get started with some election coverage, though. Here is MSNBC's Ayman Mohyeddin, one of the Muslim anchors. In fact, one of the Muslim anchors who was not shit canned by MSNBC in the wake of October 7th. He's on here pushing his luck a little bit, giving Kamala Harris a little bit of a nudge, showing her some polling data, which actually suggests that changing her Israel policy for the better would do her some good in the polls, and he cites some swing state polling data as evidence. So let's take a look at this clip.
What you also wouldn't know from how both candidates handled this issue is that most voters in America do not like it. A new YouGov poll for the Cato Institute released a day before the debate found that a majority of likely voters in swing states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, favored an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. In Michigan, 74% of respondents supported a ceasefire. 80% of Wisconsin voters and 75% of Pennsylvania voters did as well. Across all three swing states, more than 88% of Democrats supported an immediate ceasefire, while more than 78% of independents supported one. Now, as she has been doing for months, Kamala Harris did call for a ceasefire. She's been doing that consistently, and she did so during the debate, which is certainly more than what Donald Trump did, and said that the administration is working around the clock to get one. But is that true? I mean, the U.S. has yet to use any real leverage to compel a belligerent Netanyahu, who the Israeli public, the Israeli media, the Israeli security establishment, and Israeli hostage families are blaming for preventing a deal. And the U.S., of course, does have a lot of leverage, being Israel's main weapons supplier. And in fact, Harris was specifically asked about this issue on CNN recently.
Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Now, after recounting the horrors of October 7th and stating the need for a ceasefire, Harris avoided the weapons question, so Dana Bash followed up.
But no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth?
No, we have to get a deal done.
No change in policy. But here's the thing. It's not just the progressive left that are actually calling for one. According to that same YouGov poll, a majority of voters in Rust Belt states, swing states, also supported making military aid to Israel conditional or not supplying it at all. 56% in Michigan, 61% in Wisconsin, 51% in Pennsylvania. These are the very voters who may decide this election.
Indeed. So the question that would be on your mind if you
a
were
lot
concerned,
of truth bombs for MSNBC. Does this guy still have a job?
Yeah, I guess so.
They didn't Donahue this guy yet?
Not yet.
Wow.
He is taking a chance there with that segment. Now, the question on your mind, if you were concerned purely with getting votes, if you're David Plouffe, you have no politics whatsoever, you'll sell hope and change when it's Obama, then you'll help Uber and Lyft crush workers, then you'll go support Kamala Harris on her staff, right? If you're one of these people who you're only concerned with vote counting, what he's saying is true. It makes perfect sense to, at this point, come out and radically shift your Israel policy to the left, because that is where voter sentiment, even in swing states, very clearly is. The only possible consideration you could have to make is, are there enough Michael Rappaports out there who haven't defected to Trump yet, who would defect to Trump if I went out on a limb and took a more anti-Israel stance? Would I lose enough of them to make up for this fairly large percentage of the population who, if you came out and said, we're going to do an arms embargo, would be very inclined to for you? The answer is clearly not. The answer is clearly not. You talk to people in the streets, like you talk to them in Chicago, Russell, they're all voting for Jill Stein. If Kamala Harris and Joe Biden signed an arms embargo to Israel now, because don't forget, they are the incumbent, as much as they're running like they're not. They are the incumbent. Were they to take an action like that now, it would, without a doubt, increase their polls in the places that matter, as that segment just showed. So if they're not willing to do that, what that tells you is that it's really not so much about winning votes, right? I mean, they would rather lose the election and maintain their relationship with the Israel lobby and the sphere of very influential people and organizations around the Israel lobby than actually boost their numbers in swing states, because that polling is pretty devastating for Israel. You have more than half not only calling for a ceasefire. Ceasefire is about 80%, and that is amongst everybody, including 78% of independents. But you have majorities saying we should condition aid to Israel, if not block aid to Israel outright. So you can't call this a fringe position. You could only make the argument, well, we don't want to lose the uber Zionist Democrats like the Michael Rappaports, most of whom you've already lost. So at this point, the calculation is, do we want to increase our chances, or do we have to maintain a status quo position, win or lose? Because I don't think, given that data, you could really say, well, that's just too much of a third rail for us to touch. Well, it'll cost us the election. No, it won't. No, it won't. If anything, it will increase your odds, because there are a lot of people now, especially in a swing state like Michigan, who are boycotting the ticket because you won't do what this guy is suggesting they do.
Yeah, but you have to remember their relationships are at a level 6 levels above the voters.
That's what I'm saying. If the voters mattered, they would do this.
The peasants. Yeah, man. Their handlers, their APAC people, their funders. You say one word out of line. Oh, maybe it's not a good thing to kill all these kids. That's it. They'll be all over you. They'll back a challenger in your primary. They'll primary you for that.
Yep.
Much less to majorly change your position. They're so rabid, they're not even tactical about it. They don't give a shit. You say one word that is not from the hymnal, and they're going to be all over you. That's what it is. In the end, the blowback they're going to get from a lot of their funders and a lot of their relationships, it's not worth it for them.
That's right. That's right. That's why you can't really exert the kind of pressure on the government that you would need to without a general strike, shut it the fuck down approach. Because even lobbying them for votes, with votes, even coming to them and saying, look, 78% of Rust Belt independents want this. If it were any other issue, hey, look, 80% of independents in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin want policy X. They would go for policy X. It's a no-brainer. Except this one. This one. 78% of independents in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin want something that your base wants anyway, and you won't go for it. That shows you the only way to pressure is to exert pressure on the system. You cannot persuade a party that ignores that kind of data, because that tells you they're not thinking on that level. They're thinking 6 levels above that, as Rush just said.
It is quite remarkable. There is no foreign country. There are other lobbies that have this kind of control, like the military-industrial complex, which is definitely part of this.
Right.
But there is no foreign country whose lobbying arm has such unquestioned control over the open and unquestioned. I mean, this is what makes it so absurd when they start talking about Russian and Chinese interference in the election. And I would once again direct people, I don't know the title off the top of my head. The Nation did a great article a few years back showing that most of what was attributed to Russia and the Russiagate accusations against Trump were actually Israel. That's why, insofar as there was any smoke there, that there was any fire behind that smoke, where he said, why did they do that? It was Israel. It was actually not Russia. I'm sure with the right keywords you can find the article, but that's the one kind of election interference, and it's the most blatant, the most obvious, the most incontrovertible. It's the only kind they're not interested in. It's the only kind they don't want to litigate.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, if 78% of Rust Belt independents wanted Medicare for all, Democrats would say they're for it. Now, they wouldn't actually pass it when they got into office, because that would run into the money people again. But they would campaign on it. There's no doubt. I mean, that's a gift to you.
And once again, and not to get into it, but given some recent events with the channel, I can say once again, and we've said this for a very long time, the idea that Israel is helping to dispel anti-Semitism is a cruel joke. Oh yeah, there's this cliche out there about Jews running the world. It would be really great to have this one state that has unique and open and obvious power over the government. Yeah,
Right.
no, that really debunks that narrative right there. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Indeed. Hobbs, thanks for the $12. Al Jaffe has died. If you fold
I
both
know, yeah.
ends of his coffin, he makes an obscene gesture. Thank you.
I was a big Mad Magazine fan as a kid.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
I read a little bit of it. My dad tried to get me into it. But that was like a tiny little kid. I was probably too young for it. Eric Rousseau, thanks for the $5. Breaking news, Vice President Kamala Harris has been reported fine and safe after an attempted interview. Thank you. That's a good one, Eric Rousseau. Appreciate that very much. JM, thanks for the $2 and the thumbs up. Appreciate that, bud. Let's see. Here we go. Daryl Cooper is Dave Smith's Israel, the entity he supports, despite it destroying him. Thank you. Appreciate that. Ken Texican, thanks for the $50. Let's get a cowbell out for Ken Texican. Appreciate that.
Thank you, brother.
Very nice of you. No Country for Palestinians, Act 1. Sheriff and Wendell ride up on latest massacre. Wendell, well, it's a genocide, ain't it, Sheriff? Sheriff Bell. If it ain't, it'll do till the genocide gets here. Thank you, Ken Texican. Appreciate that. Very clever. Thank you for that kind donation, my friend. Okay, we will keep going right on ahead. Okay, so this was a segment that we meant to get to Sunday, but the show ran a little bit long. Some important developments on the Eastern Front. So, Russell, you could take this one.
And this, we believe, was quite intentional. Putin warns NATO risks war over Ukraine long-range missiles. Russia expels UK diplomats it accuses of spying. All right, so President Vladimir Putin has drawn a red line. He has warned that Russia would be at war with the United States and its allies if they lift restrictions on Ukraine's use of long-range Western weapons. Now, I got to say, I think I cut this. This article spends a lot of time saying he's drawn other red lines and threatened nuclear weapons, but he hasn't done anything. One time that he did draw a red line and he did something when he went into fucking Ukraine.
Exactly. Like, this is the framing of, and it wasn't unique to this article. If it was, we would have found another article that didn't frame it that way. Every article is like, oh yeah, he does this all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about the whole subject of the article? Was that an example of him drawing a red line and following through? Amazing the way they just massage their audiences. This is why you have all these dumb libs who don't seem to be worried about World War III.
Right.
Because these things, all the media they take in, don't worry. No, it's fine.
Also, morons, has it not occurred to you the fact that he has, drawn several red lines? Has it not occurred to you that maybe he's not the psychotic madman you think he is? Because Russia's first red line was not 1 inch east. So they could have fucking gone ham at the first NATO expansion, but they haven't. What that ought to be a hint to you idiots is that you're not dealing with a psychotic madman. You're dealing with someone who is open to negotiation. So maybe negotiate with him, because one of these red lines is going to be a red line. As Russell said, if there were no red line whatsoever, we wouldn't have a war in Ukraine right now. So this seems to be a real one. I think this is a real one. I can't imagine why it wouldn't, because of the contents of this piece. So go ahead.
Putin's vow to follow such a move with appropriate decisions was his latest, perhaps most drastic attempt to draw red lines over NATO members backing for Kyiv. And it came on the eve of a meeting in Washington where the issue is expected to be high on the agenda. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer held talks with President Joe Biden at the White House on Friday afternoon as London clashed with Moscow over the expulsion of 6 diplomats accused of spying, accusations the UK dismissed as baseless. Before beginning the talks, Biden said the U.S. is committed to standing with the UK to help support Ukraine against Russia. I've often said there's no issue of global consequence where the United States and UK can't work together, Biden said. It's clear that Putin will not prevail anymore. The people of Ukraine will prevail. Asked about Putin's comments on a potential direct war with Russia, Biden shat his pants for several minutes before telling reporters, I don't think much about Vladimir Putin. A White House readout of the meeting said that the two leaders reaffirmed their unwavering support for Ukraine as it continues to defend against Russia's aggression, and that they shared deep concern about Iran and North Korea's provision of lethal weapons to Russia.
Hold on, go back to that last slide one more time. I just want to point this out very quickly. I'm not going to, spend too much time. I don't think much about Vladimir Putin. That's a very adult in the room thing to say, is it not? A nuclear armed power telling you this is my red line past which the world will be at war. I don't think much about that. No.
Yeah. He's trying to do his whole man with no name, taciturn, strong leader.
Yeah.
I don't think much about Vladimir Putin.
Very responsible.
The U.S. and its allies have appeared increasingly open to letting Ukraine use long-range Western missiles to strike deep inside Russia, the culmination of a months-long push by Kyiv that has sparked the Kremlin's fury. We are not talking about allowing or not allowing the Ukrainian regime to strike Russia with these weapons, Putin said Thursday in comments to propagandist Pavel Zarubin. That's their framing. We don't know one way or the other. We are talking about deciding whether NATO countries are directly involved in the military conflict or not. This will mean that NATO countries, the U.S. and European countries are at war with Russia, Putin said. And if this is so, then bearing in mind the change in the very essence of this conflict, we will make appropriate decisions based on the threats that will be created for us. Putin added that the Ukrainian army does not have the ability to program long-range missiles or the satellite data necessary for their targeting, relying on NATO military personnel for those tasks. Putin's comments were echoed by the Speaker of Russia's State Duma, Vyacheslav Volodin, in a Telegram post Friday. NATO became a participant in military operations in Ukraine, Volodin wrote. They are waging war on our country. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov also told reporters Friday that Putin's message was, quote, extremely clear, unambiguous, and does not allow for any double readings. We have no doubt that it has reached its intended recipients, Peskov noted. As things stand, Kyiv only has permission to use Western-supplied long-range weapons such as American ATACMS and British Storm Shadows to strike Russian territory along its border, and only in response to attacks from those areas. It's been pleading for that policy to change so it can start World War III. Oh, no, wait. What does it say? Strike military assets deeper inside Russia that are used to launch attacks on Ukrainian cities. But Washington and its allies have been reluctant to allow that, fearing a major escalation. That appears to have shifted in recent weeks. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in Kyiv on Wednesday with his British counterpart, and Biden indicated earlier this week that the U.S. was working out the issue. Wow, that's comforting. Members of the bipartisan Congressional Ukraine Caucus signed a letter earlier this week urging Biden to lift restrictions on Kyiv's use of long-range weapons, saying they are inconsistent with what America would ever accept for its own operations or restrictions that the U.S. places on its other allies, such as Israel. Oh, they want to go with the Israel model. Well, what could go wrong with that? Ahead of his meeting with Biden, The British leader's office told NBC News that Starmer told reporters the UK does not seek any conflict with Russia, but he noted Russia started this conflict. Russia illegally invaded Ukraine. Russia could end this conflict straight away. As he arrived in Washington, Russia's FSB Internal Security Service announced it had revoked the accreditation of 6 British diplomats in Moscow whose actions, it said, had signs of reconnaissance and subversive work. Britain dismissed the accusations as completely baseless. All right, so that's the latest in World War III watch. This is exactly why I haven't booked any trips for next year. Because frankly, at this point, I will be kind of surprised if World War III does not break out before the end of next year at the rate that we're going. Clearly, a lot of powerful forces want World War III. And in the end, Putin's only going to take so much shit.
Right. I mean, if the Biden administration were not a psychotic, apocalyptic death cult, Antony Blinken's statement to us would not be, well, we're working this out. You would say unequivocally, Ukraine does not have permission to strike deep inside Russia, and if they do, they are on their own to bear the brunt of whatever the Russian response is, because we and our NATO allies are not turning this into World War III. You would just say that. This way, Ukraine knows whatever you do, bear in mind, you and you alone will suffer the consequences if you escalate this beyond where we want.
Well, from what Putin is saying, and I'm not a technical expert, neither one of us is, from what Putin's saying, they don't even have the technology to target that kind of weaponry without Western help. That by definition, were they to do it, it would have to be with Western help.
It would have to be with Western help. Well, they don't have the capacity to strike that far inside of Russia how they would want to in a way that would change the momentum of the war. This is obvious. I mean, this is completely obvious. And this is why, we at our little YouTube show have been saying for a very long time now what no one in mainstream media has been saying, which is that Ukraine's strategy here is not to beat Russia one-on-one, but to escalate this into World War III so that NATO will come in and fight a world war on their behalf. That's what they were trying to do. They want to escalate. When we say, well, we don't want to see our position on this as a state, obviously, is totally incoherent, which is, well, we want to fund Ukraine so Ukraine can win the war, but we don't want a major escalation into World War III. Those two things cannot happen unless neither of those will happen if both of those things don't happen. Ukraine is not going to win the war on its own. And so the only way they can be victorious is if this becomes a global conflict. And it is quite clear that Ukraine is provoking Russia into a response that then draws in NATO and the rest of the West.
Right.
And if you want a peaceful resolution to this conflict that does not envelop the world in a bloodbath, then what you have to do is make clear to them that they cannot cross this final red line. And we need a negotiated peace right now. And our unwillingness to do that, to just defer to Ukraine, on the surface, it doesn't make sense. Now, the only caveat I would say is that if they are not capable of doing these strikes without our help, maybe we have the ability to stymie that so it doesn't happen. Or is it too late? Do they already have the weaponry in their hands? That's an unknown as far as I could tell. Maybe there's more reporting out there. Maybe if we dig deeper, there's an answer. But as far as I know, that part of it is uncertain.
I think they have long-range weapons, but they don't have permission to target deep inside Russian territory like that. And according to what Putin's saying, they wouldn't be able to without our assistance.
Right.
You could see this back when a missile accidentally fell inside Poland, and immediately Zelensky seized on that. See, we warned you that they would start attacking the other NATO allies. And come on, man. He knew that Russia did not intentionally attack Poland. He was trying to drum up that propaganda so that before you know it, NATO would be into World War III. That is what is so dangerous about this situation. You have a country that has every motivation and intention of turning this into a confrontation, direct confrontation between NATO and Russia. And that is why articles like this are written with, oh, Putin says a lot of things, because nobody in their right mind is not going to say, what now?
Right.
So you got to tell these libs, no, it's fine. It's fine now. Is it affecting your life now? It'll never affect your life. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. All right, we'll go to Ken Texican here. Once again, I'm a veteran against genocide and wear the shirt quite a bit. And someone really did ask me if it was really a genocide. Brought back memories of that scene from No Country for Old Men. Yes, I know what you're talking about. I love that movie. One of my favorites. Thank you, Ken Texican. Baby. Yeah, that's an amazing movie. That's like a perfectly made movie. Hard to believe these liberal Zionist billionaires, says Biden, are so fragile they can't allow Harris to pretend she cares about the genocide. Nope, that's true. They cannot. They cannot afford that. They cannot abide that abiding.
Nope.
American Disaster, thanks for the $2 over on YouTube, saying, I turned 42 today. Yeah, all right. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, American
Mazel
Disaster. Mazel
tov. Oh,
tov.
you know who else? You know who turned 26 today?
Who's that?
Our friend Jose Vega.
Oh, is it Jose's birthday today, too?
It is. You didn't see that tweet? He didn't send that to Do Dissidents? I shared it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you know, we've been, as I've said, folks, we've been extremely busy for the past few hours straight, like literally straight. So I haven't been really had tunnel vision.
We had to prep for the Iverson interview, do the Iverson interview. That finished up half hour before the show.
Oh yeah. No, I ran the kids over to the in-laws, got back just in time for the 12 o'clock meeting, went straight from the 12 o'clock meeting to the Kim Iverson interview, straight from there to here. So I've been with my head in the sand for a few hours. So I apologize if I missed that, but a happy birthday to Jose Vega and a happy birthday to you, Nina. Eric Rousseau, if you plan to continue to expose Israel, you better ditch your pagers. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Appreciate that very much. All right, folks, we are moving right along here. So we had a great time with our friends at the Post-Duopoly show last night, where we talked a bit about Ryan Ruth, who is the Trump shooting suspect. Our friend Max Blumenthal wrote a piece over at the Gray Zone. Alleged would-be Trump assassin recruited for Ukraine's International Legion. So before he was caught with an AK-47 on a golf course near Trump, Ryan Ruth went to Kiev to fight for Ukraine's military and recruit for its International Legion. Ruth told U.S. media he had partners meeting with Ukraine's Ministry of Defense every week. So Max writes, Ryan Ruth was arrested today with an AK-47 style rifle several hundred yards from Donald Trump while the former president was golfing. According to the Washington Post, the Trump golf course incident investigated as a potential assassination attempt. Back in 2022, Ruth reportedly traveled to Ukraine to recruit for the International Legion. According to Newsweek Romania, which interviewed Ruth in 2022, the American resident of Hawaii hoped to fight as a volunteer alongside the Ukrainian army, but was too old at age 56. Well, shame he didn't just reapply. Could have saved himself a lot of trouble because they'd take him now, I'm sure. So plan B, Ruth said, was to come to Kiev and promote the idea of many others coming to join the International Legion. We need thousands of people here to fight alongside Ukrainians. There are about 190 countries on our planet, and if the governments are not officially sending soldiers here, then we civilians should pick up this torch and make it happen. Ruth's Twitter timeline is filled with scores of tweets volunteering his direct assistance to the war in Ukraine, cheerleading the war against Russia, and attacking opponents of military aid to Kiev, such as Tulsi Gabbard. I'm willing to fly to Krakow and go to the border.
Well, they just have to change the name of Ukraine to Israel to get Gabbard on board.
Yeah, she'll go over there then. Yeah, exactly. That's their fault. I am willing to fly to Krakow and go to the border of Ukraine to volunteer and fight and die. Will I be able to cross the border to fight without a visa? Every citizen around the globe should be running to Ukraine to fight. Can I be the example? We must win. That's a tweet embedded in the article. Semaphore described Ruth as the head of the International Volunteer Center in Ukraine. He complained to the outlet that Ukraine's government was less than enthusiastic about the droves of volunteers flocking to Kiev. I have had partners meeting with Ukraine's Ministry of Defense every week and still have not been able to get them to agree to issue one single visa. Ruth also appeared in a March 25th, 2023 New York Times feature about the U.S. volunteers in Ukraine who lie waste and bicker. Among those featured alongside the North Carolina volunteer was Malcolm Nance. That's funny. So even this Ukraine zealot has shit to throw at Malcolm Nance, a star MSNBC commentator who falsely told audiences he had enlisted for frontline combat against Russian soldiers when in fact he spent his time tweeting from a Lviv hotel room. According to the Times, Ruth planned.
They say they call him the Jussie Smollett of Ukraine.
Yeah, of Ukraine. That's right. Yes, yes. According to the Times, Ruth planned to move volunteers, in some cases illegally, from Pakistan and Iran to Ukraine. He said dozens had expressed interest. We can probably purchase some passports through Pakistan since it's such a corrupt country, the shady globetrotter told the paper in an interview from Washington, D.C.
Where did he get the money for this?
Well, this is what's so bizarre. I mean, it's very, very strange.
How's he traveling around like that?
This is, I mean, yeah, I like all these questions point to collaboration with some agency, right? Because yeah, how is he doing all this? How is he doing all this? He seems to be quite poor, according to recent reports. So how are you even living in Hawaii? I mean, Hawaii is the most expensive state in the country to live in. And yeah, going all over the place like this. As Alex Rubinstein reported for the Gray Zone, the International Legion, also known as the Georgian Legion, has become a haven for assorted mercenaries, kooks, fascist activists, and even wanted murderers. The Legion is led by Mamuka Malalshavli, sorry, Max, if I butchered that, a Georgian warlord implicated in numerous war crimes.
Oh, it's like the French Foreign Legion, basically.
Yeah. NAFO, the online pro-Ukraine trolling collective, has raised millions for the Legion. Following news of Ruth's arrest, NAFO members worked to disassociate themselves from the accused would-be assassin. Ruth's apparent assassination attempt took place at a zenith of proxy war hysteria, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky demanding the Biden administration grant him long-range weapons and green light strikes deep inside Russian territory, which we covered in our previous segment. A column published from Kyiv this September 14th, Fareed Zakaria, a close ally of the Biden administration, highlighted the panic that has gripped proxy warriors over a potential Trump victory. According to Zakaria, the delay in American aid during the past year, caused by infighting among stubborn Republicans in Congress, has contributed to the deterioration of the situation on the ground, and many now fear what will happen if Trump wins in November. So we're going to play just a little piece of video. This is not long, where you hear the passion in this guy's voice for Ukraine firsthand.
When you talk to a 20-year-old guy that sold everything he owns to come here to fight, that is heroism. You know, he's coming here to risk his life for humanity, for the Ukrainians. You know, guys that sell everything they own to come here and support the Ukrainians while others sit at home and do nothing. You know, it's totally mind-blowing how we have this divide of people that are selfless and courageous and wonderful and willing to sell everything they own to come here and support, keep people from getting killed, to shelter kids and protect Ukrainians, and others that just, want to sit at home and not. It's just, it's an indictment of our entire human society to say, hey, where do we stand? Do we stand for good, or do we just not care? I mean, does the world not care? That's the feeling that I wrestle with every day in my interactions with everybody. Every one of us is responsible for the outcome of this war. Every one of us.
Okay, so, look, this guy seems not all well, which obviously the fact that he was apprehended with a weapon within firing range of the president is ample evidence that he's not all well. And so that begs a couple of questions. As Russell said, where does he get the wherewithal and the resources, and where does he just, how is he able to coordinate these travels around the world without some help from the state? I think that's a very valid question. Now, the media is in a very difficult spot here, because if he was taken under the wing of certain government agencies, that's something they really don't want to report. But if he wasn't, guess who's on the hook for this guy? Them. Because he was either influenced by the state or totally brainwashed by the media into this kind of zealotry. And so where does this story go from here? Because don't forget, it's not often that the suspect survives an incident like this. But in this case, he has. So what happens now? We're limited as to what we could say here in East Berlin, but is this an incident where the security guard falls asleep and X, Y, and Z happens from there? Like what? Like because because it's fucked either way, right? I mean, either this guy had help from the state, which is an embarrassment, or MSNBC brainwashed this guy. Like I said jokingly on the air the other night, who needs MK Ultra when you have Keith Olbermann? I mean, I said that half jokingly, but it's true. It's true. It's one or the other here, is it not?
Well, it is. This is why, and I said this in another segment the other night. You know, this is my exception to all attempts at kind of centralization of power, no matter where it's coming from ideologically. I don't trust people enough. People are too stupid. They're sheep-like. If you remember when the Ukraine war first broke out, all of these people who all of a sudden the flag is in their profile and they're walking around with the pin. Humans are just very prone to whatever the thing is, particularly war. If you've seen a few wars break out that have that real propaganda heft behind them, most people go along with it. They really do. And they want to be seen. It's that tribalism. They want to be seen going along with it. Right. That's the whole point. That's why I don't trust people in groups. I don't trust collectivism for that reason, because it's so easy to just get people to go along with the group. There's a slavish quality that is in our genes, that people want to belong to the tribe because it's a survival thing, right? You need to belong to the tribe for food, right? For resources. Being exiled means death. So propagandists understand that. And they've really refined their techniques since the Mad Men days, since the Bernays days, to really just suck people into these narratives. And of course, when you're talking about going away from the deep state question, which I am not at all dismissing, I think it's very likely, frankly. But besides that, I mean, I think you probably got both here. I don't think it's either or. I think part of the reason they were able to use this guy is because he was propagandized this way. He was primed that way. Yeah, when you're dealing with hundreds of millions of people, and a lot of them are stupid enough to basically believe what this guy believes, you'll have a few of them who will take it to the next level. I not only have to show you how much I believe in this, I have to be the most dedicated to it. And I'm going to go there. And I'm going to recruit people to join me. And, you know, I mean, you're going to get a few of those.
Well, that's what Max and Aaron were talking about, because I watched some of their live stream last night after we got off of the Post-Duopoly show, and they were saying that these kinds of wars, these kinds of efforts draw fanatics. They pull fanatics out of the woodwork, right? Because you almost have to be radicalized in some way for this to make any sense, right? Like, unless you are just like a shitlib NPC who just, you know, you live your life and then you watch the news and the news says support Ukraine, so you support Ukraine. Okay, that's one type of person. That is the majority of people consume all news and politics like that.
And I will just interject once again, because I was traveling a lot around the country over the last couple of years. When you see that Ukraine flag shit, It's always an upscale neighborhood, man. When you see
Yeah.
that outside the houses, when you see that on the sidewalks in chalk, always an upscale neighborhood. Always.
Right. And that's how most people consume news and politics in general. I walk through life not paying much attention. When I turn on the TV and they say support Ukraine, okay, that's my politics. But in rare examples where people really look into an issue and really go down the rabbit hole, well, who could be zealously pro-Ukraine at this point except for people who are susceptible to this kind of brainwashing and radicalization?
Right.
Because anyone who pays a modicum of attention to this would support peace talks. So, like, if you are an NPC who, like, passively consumes politics, yeah, you put the Ukraine flag on your door as a virtue signal, and then you don't think about it much. If you really think about this and you are still vehemently pro-Ukraine, well, then, yeah, you are a mark. You are the exact kind of person who could be recruited into this kind of thing, right? And that's why I hope I'm not mischaracterizing what they're saying. That's what I took from Max and Aaron last night, is they were saying that, yeah, causes like these attract people like this because you kind of have to have a screw loose to take this side to begin with.
You know, I gotta say, very broadly, as I'm really looking at the whole landscape of propaganda, it's like we're all living in a David Cronenberg film where you exit one conspiracy and you just enter another.
Right. Right. Yes.
You know, it's just like an infinite number of doors leading into an infinite number of rooms where you don't actually have control over your perceptions.
Yes. Yep. Good point, Charles. All right, John.
We have it on the sound.
We have it.
You don't have to say it. Yeah.
It was an impulse. I didn't have time to find it. John M. in Minnesota on red lines. Previous red lines, Abrams tanks F-16s were actually U.S. red lines they attribute to Russia, but good point on the original red line. Well, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. DC, thanks for the $2 on YouTube. Ukraine shot into Poland. Russia did not. Good point, DC. I agree with you. Black Spock, thanks for the $2 and the super sticker. Appreciate that. Egg64, thanks for the $5. Hate to go there, but as a black man, I think I could say this plainly. The Azov Battalion was not letting Nance's black ass anywhere near that army. Interesting.
That's a damn good point.
That's a damn good point. Yes. Ken Texican, thanks to the $1. I love my country, but I may be the first to John Kerry my NATO GI dunk medal over the White House fence. Well, appreciate that sentiment, sir. Thank you very much for that donation and for that comment. Admiral Albert, thanks for the $1.99. Ruth must have the Mark David Chapman travel plan. You know, it's funny. I was just thinking of Mark David Chapman because this guy here, Ryan Ruth, has 2 names. Usually the shooters have 3. And what I read, and I don't know this for a fact, but what I read as an explanation for that, and it makes sense, that usually like high profile assassins or shooters, they'll give them 3 names: James Earl Ray, Mark David Chapman, right? The reason they do that, according to what I read, and I don't know this for a fact, but it makes sense because people ask, why does everyone have 3 names? Because they don't
make the mistake of another person with that name.
They don't want to make life hell for every other Mark Chapman in the world, right?
Yeah.
So they want you to remember them by 3 names. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, we will keep on keeping on here. All right. Once again, as it pertains to Russia, Hillary Clinton has another memoir coming out this week. I don't know if you know that. She has another memoir coming out.
Is she going on a book tour?
I don't know.
Is that why she's at the PAC that week? Yeah,
maybe.
Is that what it's for? Is it in support of her memoir?
Maybe it's a book tour, but she does have.
It's not described that way, I don't think.
Well, maybe in election season. Yeah, I'm not sure. But Hillary Clinton has another memoir coming out. And so she went on MSNBC last night to talk about it. And we were wondering what's going to be our last story. You know, we had the show mostly planned out. We're like, I guess we'll check headlines in the morning. Thank you, Hillary Clinton, for coming through for us in the clutch and giving us this piece. She always does. Always does. Always does. So let's hear her on.
I don't know if you've heard, but in person, she's quite funny.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's hear Hillary Clinton on the necessity of cracking down on pro-Russian propaganda.
Started doing, and Russians started doing in 2015 and 2016, what they continued doing. They've gotten more sophisticated. They aren't even pretending anymore. Their international news operation, Russia Today, RT, is an arm of the Russian government, an arm of its intelligence operation. It's basically an extension of their spying efforts. They are using Americans, both those who are witting and willing, and those who are unwitting and are just so surprised. They're getting, $400,000 a week or $100,000 a podcast to parrot Kremlin propaganda. And we know from what even Republicans have said, the chairs of the Intelligence Committee and the, Foreign Affairs Committee and other Republicans who are currently in office have said that Republicans go to the floor of the Congress and they parrot Russian talking points. So I think it's important to indict the Russians, just as Mueller indicted a lot of Russians who were engaged in direct election interference and boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence, because the Russians are unlikely, except in a very few cases, to ever stand trial in the United States. They're not going to be going to a country where they can be extradited or even returning to the United States unless they are very foolish. So I think we need to uncover all of the connections and make it very clear that you could vote however you want. But we are not going to let adversaries, whether it is Russia, China, Iran, or anybody else,
Israel,
basically try to influence Americans as to how we should vote in picking our leaders.
Well, you notice she chose that word very clearly. She didn't say we're not going to let other countries influence our vote. She says we're not going to let adversaries influence our vote. Because otherwise, you'd have to take issue with Israeli influence. So she was very careful to say, hey, it's not that we are rejecting foreign interference. We reject foreign interference from our adversaries.
We welcome foreign interference.
Yes, from our allies, we welcome it. Exactly. Beyond that, what she's saying has already been put in motion to a large extent. You have the Tenet media liaison indicted. You have the Uhurus indicted, found not guilty of being foreign agents, but for some reason guilty of trying to become foreign agents. They are appealing that verdict, as they should, because it sounds like that jury did not understand the charges. But what she's talking about is already in motion. Like, that's already happening. She's saying, look, if we don't have jurisdiction over the Russians, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to start prosecuting Americans who some wittingly and some unwittingly parrot Russian propaganda. And, this is like, look, we talked to Kim Iverson about this for the lion's share of the interview. We are post-duopoly. We are not supporting either candidate. We find plenty to criticize about Donald Trump, as we have made very, very clear in recent shows. But the terrifying thing about Kamala Harris is that, just like Joe Biden, she is just a vessel for these people, right? I mean, Biden is a vessel for these people because he's lost his mind. Kamala is a vessel for these people because she's never had a mind. She will just do whatever the machine wants. So you can expect more prosecution of Russian propagandists if Kamala Harris wins. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It is a very scary thing because, you don't always know who you're dealing with in these spaces, right? This is what I brought up when it came to Tenet Media and the creators who were not indicted, but were penalized outside the bounds of the law, right? The one guy got his YouTube, I forget, Taylor Hansen got his YouTube taken down, right? once you take the guilt by association game to the lengths that they want it to go to, at that point, no one is safe. No one is safe. And who knows? Who knows? There could very well be indictments for sowing discord. That's what the Uhuru are charged with, sowing discord. Sowing discord is, I suppose, I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't know you could be indicted for sowing discord in a country with a First Amendment, because sowing discord is just political speak for articulating an anti-establishment point of view. That's what sowing discord means. But you heard it here right from her. She obviously has a personal axe to grind. She brings up the 2016 Russian interference every chance she gets because she's wanted to be president her whole life. She apologized for the sex crimes of a serial abuser and stayed married to him her whole life so that she could be president, and it didn't work out. So she's just a bitter, broken person who brings that up every chance she gets. But beyond that, the people around her, the people who swim in those circles, it's very funny in person. The people who swim in those circles, they buy into this 100%. And they are already, it's not they will start cracking down on this using the justice system. They already have. That's why the Uhurus had to stand trial.
I just love her. Ladies and gentlemen, the comedy stylings of one Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Came, we saw, he died.
Yep.
And the crowd roared. Crowd roared when she dropped that one. I think she did that one at Chuckles in Minnesota.
That's the bootleg.
Yeah, that's the bootleg version.
Yeah.
We are entering very dangerous times. It's not only this. We almost did this story. I guess we decided not to do it. But so they passed like mask mandates in this town on Long Island, or anti-mask mandates.
Oh, we are doing it. I have that on the thing today. Yeah.
Okay, so that's an example. I just sent you this. Maybe we'll do it Thursday. This young lady at Barnard College talking about the draconian measures that they're taking to shut down free speech on campus. How they're really just being harassed. You can't use your printer. You can't use the campus printers for anything political. You can't have political posters on the wall. They've made it clear to them, New York housing law does not protect you. We could kick you out at any time for any reason if you're in any way disruptive. They're really pulling out the suppression of speech. And as any radical, as any activist could tell you, you have freedom of speech until it actually impacts power.
Yeah.
And then they very quickly show you that you have freedom of speech up to the line of your speech being effective.
Right. Of course.
If your speech is in any way effective, you don't have freedom of speech anymore. They will do. Even Glenn Greenwald said that when we interviewed him. He said, if you're a really effective activist, they will destroy you. Look what happened to Steve Donziger. So, yeah, this is what they've wanted for a long time. We got into this with Kim a little bit too. They'll crank up the safetyism in order to justify the suppression of speech. And they do it from both ends. The people you say, oh, they protect the anti-woke people. They're going to protect us from speech. Look at Trump. He talks about deporting people for speaking out for Israel. If there is one thing that both wings of the oligarchy agree on, it's that the peasants have gotten too uppity over the last century or so, and we need to put them back in their place. We need to undermine their belief and even the memory of the belief that they had rights to rule themselves. That you have two different approaches that both end in a world where people accept the premise of themselves as peasants to be ruled without questioning it very much. It's a question of whether you take the rainbow path or the shiny boots of leather path, but they both end with you having no power. That seems like the common theme.
Yes, because what both wings of this power structure have in common is they don't like giving power up once they have it, right? And free speech is a challenge to anyone who has power. And so, the crackdowns are here. I'm not warning you about anything. I'm just telling you what's happening. Once again, who knew? If you were to ask me before the African People's Socialist Party case came up, if this were just like a multiple choice question on a history quiz or a social studies quiz, can the government charge someone criminally in the United States of America with sowing discord on behalf of a foreign power? I would say no. Sowing discord is protected speech, obviously. Like it's almost comical to think that could even happen in a country where they codified First Amendment. Right. But it can. They'll pull that card out of the deck. You didn't even know it was there, right? If they don't like you, they'll come at you, and that is what Hillary wants. And she's irrelevant at this point, but her ideas are not. Obviously, they are right on the door. They're in power right now, and they're on the doorstep of power once again.
Yeah, no. Listening to Hillary gives you insight into what her wing of the globalists and the oligarchy are talking about, what they're thinking, and how they're going to sell it to you. And they only need to sell it to you for now. For now, I am telling you, the common goal is to convince people not only that they shouldn't have power over their lives, but that they never really wanted it. That's the propaganda that they're doing on you right now. That's why safetyism is the common theme. If you don't go along with this, you're not going to be safe. That is what they invoke to get you to give up your freedoms. Yep,
100%.
I just actually ordered, by recommendation from somebody who watched the Post-Duopoly show, Techno-Feudalism, I think it's called.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going down the rabbit hole, baby.
There you go. Russ down the rabbit hole. Bonzo Beans, there was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. Thank you, Bonzo Beans. The Snuggler, thanks for the $2. I'll go fight for Ukraine. Just pay me in cocaine. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Excuse me. Ken Texican, Glenn Greenwald did a good segment today on Ryan Ruth. Okay, I will check that out. I saw I was covering that last night. I'm sure it's clipped now. Okay. John in Minnesota, where can I find in print the quote that you, Ritter, and others have spoken of where the Uhuru's judge defines misinformation? Did I speak about? Did we speak about that? I forget what exactly you're referring to. So yeah, you might have to check with on Scott Ritter's stuff. I'll look into that though. I'm always curious, but I don't remember reciting a quote from the judge. Eric Rousseau, he's a new breed of blue-haired liberal, ready for battle, a regular mad cow warrior. We were on Post-Duopoly last night. Someone pointed out that he was yellow and blue. Yeah, like blonde and blue.
The Ukraine, yeah. The flag.
Okay. Let's see here. Brad Gilbert, thanks for the $2. Let's start Carlinism, the anti-group group. Thank you very much. Jenna Tillis, thanks for the $5 Canadian. Hillary Clinton stole my hairdo, and now I live in fear that someone might notice and lynch me by accident. FML. Well, good luck, Jenna Tillis. Landrew, thanks for the $100.
Damn, yo.
Let's give Landrew his sound drop and his cowbell. Yes. Thank you, Landrew. What is the October surprise?
Landrew is dead.
What is the October surprise? Vote Jill Stein, the new Palestine. Well, what could be the October surprise, and this would be drastic, this would be the mother of all October surprises. And I don't think this will happen because I think the polls will be close enough where they think they might be able to win this without it. But, if Kamala got in trouble, they could just have Biden resign and make her president and have her sign some executive orders that people like, they got that up their sleeve if they need it because she is the VP. Stoop sign, thanks for the $1. Infinite number of doors leading to an infinite number of rooms, all filled with people ready to kill Trump. Thank you, Stoop sign. Ellen Jimerson, Keaton, are you drinking hot tea with lemon and local honey? Hot lemonade, a hot homemade chicken soup with onions and or garlic? If not, why not? Well, not the soup or hot lemonade, but I have had some hot tea with some local honey. We just actually bought some local honey from these mom and pop vendors the other day. So yes, Ellen, I am taking care of myself. Trying my best. Thank you for that. EJ Imagine, book tour, Russ and Jose alert. Yeah, well, we won't blow Jose's cover in case he's going to make a stop and peacefully, obviously,
Peacefully,
intervene.
yes.
Okay, hey, why don't we do an ad for solar panels? That's fun. That's different. That's good.
Really?
That's positive, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they
All right.
didn't believe in solar.
Yeah, I thought not too, but let's take a look here.
Okay.
All right, folks. So it is National Preparedness Month. Did you know that? I didn't know that, but apparently September is National Preparedness Month. And so at 4 Patriots, we want to celebrate by bringing back this unbelievable buy one, get one deal on solar generators. For a limited time, when you buy the powerful Patriot Power Generator 2000X, that sounds like something Jerry Seinfeld would have if he lived in the woods. It's the Patriot Power Generator 2000X. That's like something Kramer would convince Jerry to buy if they lived, out in the suburbs. But anyway, for a limited time, when you buy the powerful Patriot Power Generator 2000X, you'll get a mini generator for free. Plus, you'll also score 2 solar panels for free, too. That's right. So not 1, but 2 solar panels come with this incredible buy one, get one deal on solar generators. So you buy a solar generator, you get a mini generator plus 2 solar panels for free. So claim your power independence and free mini generator and free solar panels by going to 4patriots.com. Hurry, though, you only have until midnight on September 30th to claim that free mini generator offer. So go to 4patriots.com today. There you go. That's cool. Get to do a little solar energy ad read. I like that.
Man, I'm still looking at buying a house.
Not the give your dog a biscuit or they'll cut their give your dog this biscuit or they'll cut their dicks off. A little bit of a change of pace. Yeah.
A little different.
Yeah.
I've been thinking for a while about buying a house up in Buffalo, and I gotta say, it's like I look at that and I'm almost like, well, if you're gonna go up there, like go all the way with it. Like buy a house that's like remote. Right. It doesn't have any neighbors. And, go live off the grid and shit, go solar. That's why I know people who live up there are going to be like, what do you think this is, Alaska? It might as well be to me. You do have the opportunity to live like that in that area. Like, not if you live in the city proper, but that's the point. Like, you don't have to go too far out to have a fair amount of land on your own. I don't know. Like, if you're gonna go up there, like that would be part of the appeal to me, to live a little more rural.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean,
and then
why would you just downsize into a similar living environment, but not New York City? Right.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying. I have long said that. Like, if you're gonna live in the country, I get that. You're gonna live in a city, live in New York.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that makes sense. I could understand that. Okay. What do we got here? All right. This, folks, is a story that we are very excited to bring you guys here. So, here is a tweet from the Amazon Teamsters. Breaking: Amazon drivers at DBK4 in Queens, New York, marched on Amazon today to demand it recognize our union and deliver a Teamster contract. We are sick and tired of the low wages, dirty vans, and overwhelming routes. This is our moment to win what all Amazon workers deserve. And so here is this video. Now, just a program note before we play these videos, because sometimes musicians will copyright claim them after the fact, this clear copyright check, the preliminary check. But if you're watching this on the clip version and the sound cuts out and you hear my voice start narrating, that's why. That's why. So just a heads up in case that happens on the clip version. But here is this video.
Amazon because of us. Yes. We need more. You are Amazon because of us. Yes. We need more wages. We need better pay. We need better job security. We deliver hundreds of thousands of packages and make all of you look good.
About these routes are inhumane. No one should be having over 300 plus packages.
Saying Amazon care about safety, but everyone over here, most people on the DSP driving dirty vans. Dirty vans. Vans never been clean. People are getting sick in those vans.
We are the union. Who are we? Teamsters. Who are we? Teamsters. Who are we? Teamsters.
We're demanding more pay, better benefits, job security for all the hardworking men and women of Amazon. And we're just asking that you respect that and understand our value. We went and presented them to form our union, and hopefully they respect it and understand the value that we bring to the company. Don't be afraid, man. Join, fight for what you deserve. You guys work hard every day to deliver for Amazon, so don't be afraid to go after what you want and deserve.
There you go. Amazon delivery drivers sign union cards, the American Prospect reports. Several hundred Amazon drivers organizing with the Teamsters have reached the threshold for a union vote at Amazon's DBK4 warehouse in Queens, New York. A majority of drivers at 3 of the site's delivery service partner contractors have now signed union authorization cards as of this morning. Amazon will now be forced to either recognize the union or contest the card count and officially hold an election. The organizing drive in Queens directly follows a recent ruling from the National Labor Relations Board in August, deeming Amazon a joint employer of its DSP contractors. So DSP, once again, stands for Delivery Service Partner contractors with full legal responsibilities for the labor force. So yes, Amazon has in the past, up until now, obviously, outsourced a lot of their delivery logistics to what they call last mile delivery. In other words, the person who actually drives the truck and puts the product on your door and rings the bell and walks away, they're trying to claim those are contractors, not actually Amazon employees.
Right.
The NLRB made clear. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The NLRB made clear that Amazon has a legal obligation to bargain with its drivers and meet them at the negotiating table to improve wages, working conditions, safety standards, and everything in between, said Sean O'Brien, president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Hundreds of Amazon delivery drivers from Queens will now have the full backing of more than 1.3 million Teamsters nationwide. So what Amazon does is they'll contract the last mile delivery logistics to these other companies, which then hire people. And if the employees at those companies, the workers at those companies want to unionize, that's what we have now. So the decision by an NLRB regional judge in Los Angeles could deal a significant blow to Amazon's third-party business model of outsourcing last-mile delivery. The company has long relied on a system of enforcing restrictive contracts with delivery service providers to officially manage low-paid drivers while evading any culpability for union busting or workplace violations that take place on the job. Remember a few years ago when one of the drivers was out and a tornado was bearing down and they threatened not to hire him again if he didn't finish the route? Yep. Well, not hire again is contractor speak for fire you, right? But because that was an independent contractor, they could say, hey, listen, you don't have to stay out and work in a tornado watch, but if you don't, we're not going to hire you next week to deliver our product. They're threatening to fire the guy, but the way they structure the business, they avoid that culpability of both busting a union drive or, as it writes here, workplace violations. The announcement is also a major boost to the Teamsters' efforts to organize Amazon workers. Teamsters are aggressively moving forward to unionize Amazon's thousands of DSPs across the country as though these contractors are official arms of the company. At the same time, the union is also actively organizing the Amazon-run warehouses, building off the Amazon labor union's victory in Staten Island in 2022 before affiliating with the Teamsters this summer. That warehouse has yet to complete a first contract. He's talking about the Chris Smalls warehouse. The joint employer ruling involved an Amazon facility in Palmdale, California. Last year, after the Teamsters organized the battle-tested Strategies, a DSP contractor, Amazon simply terminated its relationship with the company. The Teamsters filed an unfair labor practice, and a regional director at the NLRB issued a preliminary ruling in their favor in August. If the two parties don't settle, which is unlikely, then the case will be brought before an NLRB judge. So it's good to see labor using Amazon's bullshit against them, because one of the reasons why unionizing Amazon has been difficult is because Amazon cracks down on those efforts. So if they consider you an employee, what do? They do to you what they did to Chris Smalls, which is why It took him a long time to even get that vote ratified to join the union, and they have since not gotten a contract. What Amazon tried to be cute by outsourcing the last mile delivery logistics to these smaller companies, well, those smaller companies are easier to organize union drives at because you don't have Jeff Bezos breaking it up. So now they come to you and they say, okay, we are now unionized. Now, if you want us delivering your packages, you have to deal with a union. And Amazon, in this case, nixed the contract, and the NLRB is saying that that's a violation. We have more, but I've been talking a while. Do you have anything to add at this point?
Well, yeah, they by not treating their workers fairly, they drove them to this.
Exactly.
You know, ultimately, you wind up having to go to an organization, especially if you're dealing with a company like Amazon that has the muscle to go up against Amazon. So you're going to turn to Teamsters.
Right. Exactly. In a related case this month, the NLRB reaffirmed Amazon as a joint employer by holding the company liable for illegal union-busting tactics carried out by one of its DSPs at an Atlanta warehouse. Both decisions by the board set up a clash with Amazon, which still holds publicly that DSPs are wholly independent contractors that oversee their own workforce and other business decisions. That's in spite of the fact that drivers wear Amazon gear, operate vans bearing the company logo, use equipment proprietary to Amazon, and receive delivery route schedules dictated by Amazon. It's just the pay stub that has the DSP's name on it. Any Amazon driver knows the truth. We wear Amazon uniforms. We drive Amazon's trucks. We live by Amazon's workplace standards. We are Amazon employees, said Latrice Sade Johnson, an American driver from DBK4 in Queens. I'm sorry, an Amazon driver from DBK4 in Queens in a press release. Amazon has no choice but to meet us at the negotiating table to hear our demands. I mean, it is just so on its face absurd that they are independent contractors. Does anybody watching this know of a company that exercises tighter control on its operations than Amazon? When you order something on Amazon Prime, it tracks the package from order to your door, out for delivery, be there soon. They obviously are in direct control of every move one of their package makes, including the driver. So to try and categorize the driver as a contractor is just so ludicrous on its face. But that's what they've been getting away with, seemingly until now. Whenever we have to make changes, however small, like switching to a larger van for our delivery volume, our direct managers need to get approval from Amazon. Luke Renee, a delivery driver in Queens organizing with the Teamsters, told The Prospect. Amazon has repeatedly alleged that its DSPs have full independence. Look at the ridiculousness of that. Amazon has repeatedly alleged that its DSPs have full independence, ignoring the testimony of the workers at these companies. Earlier this year, a bipartisan group of senators even called Amazon's bluff after it submitted written answers that lawmakers called misleading and self-contradictory. The way the company responds to the union drive at DBK4 in Queens will indicate how it plans to proceed under the NLRB's new legal designation. Amazon is still suing to challenge the constitutionality of the NLRB. Let's go.
So they're literally trying to get rid of the National Labor Relations Board.
Looks like they're trying to take them out.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
So I want to skip to this because this is another video that I think is worth showing. This is everybody's fight. Across the country, workers are demanding the respect we deserve at Amazon. So here is some footage from some of these union drives across the country.
Once again, not just a Palmdale extension. We've extended once again, not just a Palmdale extension, but a Skokie extension. We're standing out here with some proud brothers, proud Teamsters from Chicago, Illinois, out of Local 705 we're standing out here shoulder to shoulder with them.
This fight is everybody's fight. There's a war on the workers. And we have to support each other.
We're out here with folks from Palmdale, extending our picket line, trying to get our Amazon workers what they deserve, what they need, job security, better pay, that goddamn contract, and we're here to fight for it. It's important that we let our voices be heard across the country. Every facility, it's the same story, and we're here to tell our story, which is that Amazon is unfair and violates our rights.
We're here to stand in solidarity with these brothers and sisters and
show them what unity and solidarity is all about. They fight for a fair contract, living wages, better working conditions, and no matter where it is, we're going to show up. They have 1.3 million Teamsters standing behind them.
Amazon, I hope you're quivering in your boots right now, because when you mess with the bull, you be sure to get the horns. And this is the result of it. These are angry workers who are here picketing because you don't know how to treat your workers properly.
I got my brothers and sisters behind me here. We're ready to take the fight to Amazon.
We want them to see our power in numbers. We want them to see how unified we are. We want them to see the power of the workers.
When Teamsters fight, Teamsters win. When Teamsters fight, Teamsters win. Yeah.
All right. So that's the name of the game right there. You have to build working class power. Yep. You have to build labor power into a giant thing that can be wielded against the political power structure, against Democrats and against Republicans. No matter who wins this election, we are going to have an enemy of the working class in office. You're going to have a Congress that stands in opposition to the needs, hopes, and aspirations of working class people. The only way to counter that is to organize workers into a giant collective that can then be wielded against that power structure. In other words, you organize as many unions in as many places as possible. You build this union workforce up, and then you say there is a date on the calendar past which we shut this country the fuck down, and it does not move again until these demands are met. And amongst those demands are defund Israel, right? They don't have to all be labor-centric demands. It can be any demands we want, any demands that the workers want. That is the only way you are going to change anything in this country. The red versus blue game is delusional at this point. It starts with organizing laborers who can then stop working until the system works on our terms. Everything else is masturbation at this point. I am increasingly convinced that this is the only way. It's the only way. And that's why you say, well, are you black-pilled? No, I'm not black-pilled. I'm clear-eyed about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump being enemies of working people. This is a solution. This is the only solution. That's why you got people like Shama Sawant, Workers Strike Back, organizations like that. They are the way out of this. They are the way to change these big things that we know need changing, because these elections are hopeless. It has to be this way. And so it is time to, as Russell said in the last piece that we did on Sunday, fight the class war, not the culture war. Be welcoming to people, be kind to people, be willing to hear people out on things. But at the end of the day, this is a top-down struggle, and it's only going to be won on those terms.
Yeah, no war, but class war. That is how we have to approach things. And you look at a company like Amazon. Remember, these guys have a heart attack if you cost them a nickel.
Right.
Okay. A lot of people are at this point, because of the Amazon effect, they're dependent on Amazon because their local stores are gone because Amazon drove them out of business. So to realistically tell people boycott Amazon as the goal, that's not realistic. But you know what is realistic? Don't buy from Amazon for 1 week.
Right.
As a company like Amazon, that's going to cost them billions of dollars if people boycott Amazon for 1 week. And they care about that shit. Look, McDonald's, every quarter, man, now they have to talk about how much money they're losing because of the anti-Israel boycott. Same thing with Starbucks. It's hurting their stock price. This is what these people really care about. That's a realistic effort. Boycott Amazon for 1 week to protest their labor practices. Because then if you do that once successfully, they know you can do it again successfely. And you built out the infrastructure and the means of communication to do it again successfully. Now you have some power over Amazon. These are the efforts that we have to channel our energy into. how do you really fight this power structure? Now, the good news is it's a consumerist society. It is very dependent on you continuing to buy shit. That is a big part of your power, your ability to withdraw your consumption from certain brands or companies. That's a very good way to support these workers. Now they have a contact. We should try to bring somebody on and discuss what people can do locally to help. These people, if they have their way, they'll have you in fucking warehouses in shock collars before they're done. If we don't fight back, we're going to be living in the world. I thought Ready Player One, even though it's kind of like a light sci-fi thing, it also had some interesting dystopian elements. One of them was like getting sentenced to doing kind of cubicle work to work off your debts. Yeah, man, if these people have their way, that is the world we're going to be living in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And no war but class war. You know, when it was funny because you were talking a little bit, we got into this more in the last show, but you know, where you were talking about how the culture war is there to divide workers, right? And if you use culture war issues
from both ends,
absolutely, yeah. And if you use culture war issues as a wedge before you get these organizations started, then they never get off the ground because you turn on each other at square one.
No, and that's what happened. Ryan Grimm, this was actually an interesting couple of articles he wrote. He wrote one about how the whole woke thing was destroying even not-for-profits. Right. They're supposed to be helping the people that these people are supposed to care about because they're all fighting each other over purity tests.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the way to handle that is, like I said, you don't make it a wedge issue. Don't excommunicate people over that. One of the first pieces of on-the-ground reporting we did the railroad workers rally when the strike was about to happen, the strike that Joe Biden broke up. And you had the old school guys, the old school socialists who we then had on the show running, you know, a rally outside. And there was this one person who got up, this one young woman who got up and started talking about the gender ideology thing. And what did he do? Did he kick her out? No, they just said, okay, thank you very much. Wrap it up. Thank you.
Yep.
You know, try to politely signal, okay, not here. Doesn't mean you say, oh, you're one of those woke people, you're out. No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Right.
And it's not about that. You have to be kind to each other. You have to give each other space to have certain opinions. Everybody has to organize and move forward. The other stuff, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it on the way, right? We could debate that civilly amongst ourselves in good faith, knowing we are on the same page on the big issue of the day, which is we have to build a worker-powered machine that can be its own counter to the political establishment. Because if you get sucked into playing their game, you're going to be sitting here forever lamenting how hopeless everything is. But this should give you some hope.
And frankly, I mean, this is something you've always pointed out, and the Ron DeSantis campaign certainly proved it. This is an upper class, mostly white concern. Right. All the woke and anti-woke. I mean, it's a concern mostly of educated white people who are debate. This is not something. If it was, Ron DeSantis would be the nominee right now.
Right.
Not enough people, even within a Republican primary, cared about it.
Right.
For him to really get anywhere in that primary. So, I mean, that tells you most people don't care. And Trump, while, he nods to that stuff, absolutely, he mostly talks about immigrants coming over the border and inflation. Mostly. Like, he's not, he doesn't talk about the things in the classrooms and all of this. And, anyone who knows my coverage on those things knows I'm very skeptical of those ideas. But what use is that? Like, as a workers' movement, we have no muscle, really. Now it's starting to rebuild. You've got to focus on things like organizing the Amazon workers. And as those older organizers made clear, when a young lady from the teachers union came up and wanted to start screaming about trans rights, they just politely shut it down very quickly because it is divisive in the working class to start talking those things. Most people are not there for that. Like, don't allow people in either direction to hijack the movement with their personal niche fetishes, which again, these things are mostly fixations of educated white people. Most working people of all stripes are not talking about this. They're not thinking about this. They're not concerned with this. If you are concerned with this, you're welcome in the coalition, but that's not what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do here is get better wages for these drivers, get better benefits for you, for them, for everybody. As Keaton says, we'll talk about it later, okay? We'll talk. We should be so lucky to get to a day when those are our concerns.
When we
those
can
are
afford
just,
to give a fuck. Right?
Yes, those are just
Yes.
not our concerns right now.
Yes. Well said. Well said. And so, yeah, I mean, we definitely have made a point to find more labor-oriented stories. The Uber drivers was one, and we plan on featuring a lot more of them moving forward, because as this election wraps up, you know, there's going to be cause for despair on election night, no matter who wins. And I see stories like this as the ray of hope. That's the ray of light.
Exactly.
Okay. I am the owl, just like before the U.S. entered World War I. Cuckoo, that's right. On behalf of Wall Street, who lent heavily to the Allies, the U.S. government sees impending economic collapse and thinks world war with a wartime economy is the only way forward. Thank you. I am the owl. Appreciate that.
I think they're trying to clear a lot of us out, too. It's
Yeah.
a good population reduction effort, right? Big world war, less people.
Ken Texican, don't know about Hillary's comic chops, but Kate McKinnon impersonating Hillary Clinton got a few chuckles out of me. Yeah, she was great. I mean, she was terrific. The piano thing, the super serious piano thing was nauseating, but no, I mean.
Yes, it was.
Big talent. Excuse me, she's a big talent. Kenman G, feeling depressed about nuclear war, listen to Hold On by Wilson Phillips. I held on for one more day. Now need to listen to song every day to keep holding on, leaving me more depressed. Well, I hope that last segment cheered you up. That's what it was intended to do.
You know what? Believe it or not, I've been there, man. I've been there. It does get better. It does get better. I'm serious, man. After my best friend died, I was listening to that song. I was very depressed.
Oh, that song? That same song?
I did, man. I did. I've literally been there. So listen to me. I was there and now I'm here. Right?
Yeah.
It gets better. Not that this is so great, but it's better.
Exactly. I was about to say.
I'm kidding, man. It's pretty sweet most of the time.
Yes. And absolutely. It does get better. If Kamala wins, we won't have free speech anymore. Without free speech, all other issues are silenced. That's the whole ball game. That's Corinthians 2. Thank you, Nocturnal
That's the
Human.
whole ball game. Yep.
Seconding.
Fun thing. I didn't want to slow down the segment with it. You know, I can join the Teamsters if I want, because I'm a licensed horse and carriage driver.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
Yep.
Or union eligible.
In New York, they are Teamsters.
Ken Texican, seconding Ken Minji and Russell's concern on World War III, what with current administration, ever since October of 2023, but never closer to major conflagration on multiple continents until this past weekend. Yep. Doomsday clock. Absolutely. Tick-tock. Thank you, Kenman. I am the owl. Thank you. Ruth said we are a caring and selfless country. What about American-made 2,000-pound bombs on babies in Gaza? Yeah, or ATACMs landing on children in Donbass.
Not thinking about that.
Yeah. Some real Mother Teresa shit there. Thank you for that. Shiny boots of leather. Did Rush just quote the Velvet Underground?
I did. I
There
did.
you go. Beautiful.
I did. I like that song.
All righty. All right, we're going to do one more ad read here for our friends at Rumble. This is apparently a conference that Chris Pavlovsky is attending, so let's be on our best behavior. Let's be on our best behavior for this one. The boss is listening. The boss is listening in. Straighten up our ties for this. Hey, so have you heard the company Public Square? They're literally taking on the cancel culture economy. They put together an in-person conference with an insane lineup, the Public Square Business Summit, happening in Orlando, October 10th and 11th. Here are some of the speakers. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., hey, Tony Robbins, Donald Trump Jr., and CEO of Rumble, Chris Pavlovski, amongst many, many more.
All right, we've got to go.
We've got to go. Yeah, where's our pass? We got to get a free pass here.
Where's
Hook us up.
I mean, we probably could get a prep. We're not really going to go there, though. We're doing the Washington thing.
That's right. Public Square is famously known for its bold, values-based approach to building businesses. So, for example, when they saw there wasn't a single pro-life diaper brand, they created one. And that brand, Every Life, became the fastest-growing diaper brand in history. So, see, it can happen for you. This is the concept of the parallel economy. There are millions of like-minded consumers ready to buy from you, and not one of the cancel culture companies. It's a modern-day gold rush, but only if you have the playbook, so you can get at it at this event. Rumble is actually the main sponsor, so that is October 10th and 11th. Tickets going fast. publicsquare.com/summit and use Rumble15 for 15% off. That's coupon code Rumble15 for 15%. That in-person parallel economy summits where you can go and meet Chris Pavlovski himself. I shouldn't promise you can meet him, but you can see him, as well as that other guest list of speakers. So that's publicsquare.com/summit, Rumble15 for 15% off.
The strippers are hairless as mole rats at this thing.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, look, you can boycott Amazon, you can boycott Starbucks. The parallel economy, support from support businesses that stand for free speech and stand for your politics. What's the Coca-Cola? There's a Palestinian cola company. I'm off soda. I don't drink soda anymore. I've decided cold turkey, no more soda, because that shit is too bad.
I've never been.
But there is a Palestinian
drinker.
Cola company that you could buy, because if you like soda, it's all shit. The Pepsi is bad and Coke is bad.
All right, sure,
yeah.
Of course. Yeah, no, I really don't drink that shit.
Yeah, no, apparently that's very bad for you.
Yeah, I am going down a week from today. I'm going down to D.C. It looks like I'm going to be speaking at the Rage Against the War Machine thing. And I'm going to be going to the, what is it, Restore the Republic, which is kind of the same organizers.
Same organizer, right? Yeah.
Next day, but I'm going a few days early because you know what? As a grown man, I've never really explored DC. So I'm going to go do that whole thing. I'm going to go to the Library of Congress, all that, see the sites.
So Russell's going to do Tuesday's show, I think, from the streets of DC.
Yep.
With the iPad.
Well, I'm going to try to get to the mall. I'll do it from the mall.
Yeah. I wonder if that lady will be there again with the, you still running your mouth?
Yeah.
That was so funny.
that would
you
be
still
really
running
funny.
your mouth? Yeah.
Well, she seems to, I mean, I guess she has, she is on Instagram or something. Like, people know who she is. So she shows up at these kind of political things. Because I saw her at the Trump trials. She was there too.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, because you remembered her. I think she remembered you too, because you had like a long back and forth with her at each of them.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take some more super chats and Rumble rants here. David Bozick, thanks for the $5. Would you consider interviewing a non-party candidate? I'm running for U.S. Senate from the state of Arizona. From David. Well, send us an email, David, to your stuff. Not Noir, dudissidents@gmail.com. Not Noir, thanks for the $2. My unions, a PACUFT it's the worst. Oh yeah, you don't like your union? Was that PACUFT? I'm not sure what that stands for. But thank you for that. Appreciate that.
So the Hirshhorn Art Museum, is that really the art museum to go to down there? Dan is saying that in the thing. I didn't even I only thought about the Smithsonian. I didn't even think about art museums.
Yeah, the Smithsonian. I mean, that's the big one down there.
What I really want to see is Archie Bunker's chair, which very famously is at the Smithsonian.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know that was there.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was there. But yeah, Archie Bunker's chair. That should be that should be Trump's chair. That should be Trump's Oval Office chair.
You should put it in this. Yeah,
yeah. You should swap it out. Yeah, exactly.
Isn't there like a national gallery? So there must be, right?
There must be, yeah.
Yeah.
Ken Texican, for any 3-letter government surveillance guys, I meant NATO medal, not medal. Okay, it was serving under a NATO mission. I've changed my mind. Rather than jettison the medal, I'm going to mail it back. There you go. Thank you, Ken Texican. Appreciate that. Nocturnal Human, if I ever do a $100 donation, I want my sound drop to be Nightman from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. There we go. I like that idea. Well, save up. So forego some $1 donations and save up for the big one. Yes. And we'll drop you a Nightman sound drop. John M. in Minnesota. Russell said that in pre-trial that the Uhuru judge said that government decides what constitutes misinformation. Oh, okay. Is that what because we read the verdict, we read the article. Maybe we came upon that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So thank you, John. Appreciate that very much. Ken Texican, for Keaton, hot honey, a shot of Old Crow, and 2 shots of Tom Waits, a Tom Toddy. There you go. I like that. Good one. Thank you, Ken Texican. Appreciate that very much. Okay, we got some more show this afternoon for you guys. Please hit that like button, folks. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that follow button over on Rumble. We appreciate you all very much. You can help pay for trips like this. We are sending Russ to D.C. By hitting up our fundraiser, givesendgo.com/do dissidents. We have already booked the D.C. Trip, so we are going. We rely on supporters to keep a fund going for special projects. So if you do want to throw a few bucks in the pool there, it helps out tremendously. Givesendgo.com/do dissidents. We do ad reads for GiveSendGo every once in a while because they are a free speech fundraising platform. So we appreciate them very much. And thank you guys all very much for your support. Appreciate that.
Please support the Special Project Fund. As you can see, we are not going to offer a Trojan van. When you give us money, we actually do what we tell you we're going to do with it. And these trips do cost money. We don't go crazy, obviously. We're not eating in the best steakhouse in town, but yeah, Airbnbs and transport, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Especially nowadays. And we can't even ask Max to crash on his couch because Max is going to be up here in upstate New York that same weekend.
It's going to be a big weekend for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we would be presumptuous and rude and bold and ask if we could sleep on Max Blumenthal's couch if he.
If he's not going to be there, maybe it can just be like
hey, can you leave a key under the mat?
Can you leave a key? Right. Do you have a neighbor who can give us a key?
Do you have a neighbor that can give us a key when we're there? Yes, that's a good idea. But no, Max is going to be in Kingston at the event that I'm going to be covering on the Saturday before. So actually. I mean, it's not official yet, but it seems like it's pretty much a go. You're going to be speaking at Rage Against the War Machine, right?
Looks that way.
Okay, so it looks like Russell's going to be speaking at the Rage Against the War Machine, which is going to be quite something. He is preparing something that I think you're going to be very happy with. And then that should give you, I mean, you already have the press pass for the
It was a long flight here. Boy, are my arms tired.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Just get up there and do shtick.
Take my wife, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be quite the weekend because on Saturday, Russ is speaking at the Rage Against the War Machine. I'm going to be covering the peace rally in Kingston since that's near my neck of the woods. And that's got a great lineup as well. And then the Rescue the Republic the day after. So, yeah, that's going to be something that is a week from this weekend. So that's coming up very, very soon. Okay, let's keep on going here. Here's a story, folks. Venezuela arrests U.S. EU citizens over alleged plots to... It's first 15 seconds of the video, so they take a certain action against President Nicolas Maduro. Venezuela on Saturday arrested 3 United States citizens, 2 Spaniards, and a Czech national over their alleged participation in a U.S.-sponsored plot.
I mean, if that's not a setup for an ethnic joke, I don't know what is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
2 Spaniards, a Czech, and 3 Americans walk into a coup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, three U.S. citizens, two Spaniards, and a Czech national over their alleged participation in a U.S.-sponsored plot to kill President Nicolas Maduro and several members of his government. The arrest of the 6 foreigners, which Venezuelan Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello announced on state TV on Saturday, occurred as the South American country, which descended into political chaos amid a contested election in late July, has seen its relations with Washington, Madrid, and other Western democracies souring. Quote, these groups seek to seize the country's wealth, and we as a government will respond firmly to any destabilization attempt, Cabello said, according to a Reuters report. He added that about 400 rifles originating in the United States had been seized, it said. The U.S. State Department confirmed that 3 American citizens, including 1 Navy service member, are being held in Venezuela, but it rejected any links to an assassination attempt. Any claims of U.S. involvement in a plot to overthrow Maduro are categorically false. The United States continues to support a democratic solution to the political crisis in Venezuela, a State Department spokesperson said, according to several media reports. Maduro, a socialist leader who has been in office since 2013, was presented as the winner of the July 28th Venezuelan presidential ballot, but the government has since failed to provide convincing evidence to mute accusations that the leadership contest was plagued by fraud. The arrest came on the heels of the U.S. Treasury's decision to levy sanctions on several allies of Maduro for having made voting difficult on Election Day and for human rights violations. Relations between Caracas and Madrid were further strained after the Spanish parliament recognized Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez as the legitimate winner of the July vote. Gonzalez, who last week went into exile in Spain to escape an arrest warrant, was also received by Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez in a diplomatic gesture that further angered Maduro. Man, we really are butthurt about that, man. We really want this country. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I do.
Oil.
Venezuela recalled its ambassador to Spain on Friday and summoned the Spanish ambassador to complain about a Spanish minister accusing Maduro's government of being a dictatorship. During his press conference on Saturday, Cabello argued that the arrested Spanish nationals had links to Spain's Secret Service and were planning the killing of a mayor, a claim that was promptly denied by the Spanish government, according to local media. Okay, so let's take a look at this TV report.
Tema de este armamento cuyo origen, ingreso a Venezuela, viene desde los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica. La forma como ha venido ingresando este armamento tiene mucho que ver con las operaciones que normalmente hace el gobierno de los Estados Unidos por la vía de sus instituciones que funcionan para generar caos o para crear caos, desestabilizaciones en algunos países. Más de 400 fusiles de distinto tipo para ser utilizados aquí en Venezuela. Estos fusiles eran para hechos terroristas, terrorismo promovido por sectores políticos que desde hace algún tiempo vienen surgiendo grupos que en el mundo se ofrecen a liberar a Venezuela. Ellos no actúan solos nunca. Detrás de esos grupos operan organismos de inteligencia de otros países. Sabemos que el gobierno de los Estados Unidos está vinculado con esta operación porque en la investigación hemos llegado, inclusive como en Orlando, Florida, en una de estas servicios de encomienda, los depósitos de los servicios de encomienda, el FBI estuvo allí. Estados Unidos sabe ejecutar operaciones de desestabilización. Y hoy día tenemos capturado, bajo control del gobierno nacional y bajo custodia, siendo interrogados, ciudadanos mercenarios que han venido a Venezuela como parte de este plan.
Okay. So I'll be very brief. I'll toss to Russell, who found this story. But imagine our reaction when 400 weapons of war cross into our border from another country. Imagine what our reaction would be to that. You don't have to think very hard for very long.
Right. Yeah, well, this is where, hey, we've covered a lot about that election. And my basic take is I can't tell you that that was a clean election or that it wasn't. I don't know. What I can tell you is that whenever you have a country that not only doesn't bend the knee to the United States, but takes up a different economic system or economic philosophy that the United States perceives as a challenge to the global order that it presides over, you make it basically impossible for these societies to function as open societies because they're constantly under threat of coup by the United States. How can they really just be open societies? So, they're accused of being these repressive states, and then you create circumstances that make it impossible for these states to not up their security measures to the degree that in some cases, I'm not saying that's the case here, but in some cases, they become highly repressive societies. As Keaton has often pointed out when we talk about China, they're surrounded by military bases from a hostile foreign power. What if we were surrounded? They're cracking down on our freedom because fucking student protesters scared them.
Exactly.
What are we you see how far your freedom of speech goes as soon as student protesters protesting. And now,
and our whole reason to be, the whole ethos of this country is that we are not repressive.
We are
and you
not
see
repressive.
how we get repressive upon such a mild provocation as student protest. Imagine look at those weapons. Look at those weapons. Imagine you had other countries flooding America with those weapons. Just look at that for a second. Just picture this were another country flooding these weapons into here.
Right.
Just that alone. That alone, you would have a draconian response from this government, which operates on the pretense of freedom and dignity, fallen innocence until proven guilty, right? So if they flood a country like this with those weapons, and then they take action, and now we're going to say, see, look at the repression under communism. Well, motherfucker, you're trying to overthrow the country. Now you see an image like that. What do you expect to happen?
Right, of course. Well, this is what they do. They accuse them of being a repressive authoritarian country and then create circumstances where you have no choice but to be repressive. Otherwise, you're going to be overthrown. Right. Or the opposition at best is going to back some Western puppet that's going to take out your regime. With the USSR, I can't say what its destiny would have been, but they were at civil war right after they had a revolution. The West was invading Russia to try to overthrow their revolution. So we've made it very clear that if you don't adopt a capitalist economic system or some kind of autocratic or monarchic system that's loyal to us, a la Saudi Arabia, we're going to fuck you. So at that point, what do? Have an open country? Have an open society? Just free tourism? And how would you do that when every plane load of tourists is going to contain 10 CIA agents trying to overthrow your government? How can you just have an open society like that?
Right. Yep. Indeed. Yasim Miller, thank you for the $10. Russell, go to Ottoman Taverna, 425 I Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. All right, thanks for that exact address. As someone who talks like a gourmet, you should eat Turkish food too, not kebab, other varieties of the food. Highly recommend
I live in New York. Of course, I've had Turkish food.
All right, so
we have Turkish
Taverna.
Restaurants here. Yeah, not just kebab. Yeah, no, there's a very good place. I forget the name of it. It's on 8th Avenue, not off 42nd Street. That's pretty good. I think it might just be called Turkish Grill, something simple like that. They have like stews and baked chickens that are very good.
Nice. Yep, good stuff. For sure. Thank you, Yasim. Appreciate that. The Snuggler, thanks for the $2. Russ, you can live off the grid in Sussex County, New Jersey. I do. There you go. Thank you, the Snuggler.
Yeah, but what are your property taxes? Yeah, exactly.
Also, how are you Rumble ranting us if you're living off the grid? How do you hack that? Do you go into a coffee shop to watch the show? Do you go to Spectrum Mobile and lease a cell phone every time we're on?
Are you Russian?
Yeah, are you Russia? That's a more important question, I suppose, given the crackdown.
Yeah.
Ken Texican, Keaton, you just freaking rocked that mic, brother, on unions and masturbation. Jews the man. Thank you. Those are I should submit myself as a guest for other shows. Specialty topics include unions and masturbation.
And masturbation.
I
Yes.
am qualified to discuss
Maybe you
unions
could get on
and
with
masturbation.
the Hawk Tour girl.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. Ken Texican says, how are there only 161 likes on Rumble? Hey, good question, Ken Texican. Now we're up to 183, but let's get that number a little higher. Yes, I like that. Good idea, Ken Texican.
Then like our jokes about that conference.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, they said make it your own, so that's what we did. All right, beautiful. All right, we'll do Rebel Seer asks, is Russell's speech at Rage Against the War Machine going to be live streamed? I believe it will be.
I believe the whole event will be.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for final confirmation on that, but I'm just because I don't want to start writing a speech I'm not going to give. But I pretty much was told, like, it's good by one of the organizers.
Beautiful. Yep, that'll be pretty cool. That'll be pretty cool. Jose Vega is going to be speaking there as well. So Russ and Jose will be live from DC. And then I guess
it's gonna be the road movie you didn't know you wanted.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Russ and Jose at a conference in DC.
Yeah, there you go. Now I don't know when Jose's going down, but you guys will be there. I mean, Russ is going down a few days early, and we'll have some stuff. We'll have some footage from DC as well, so that'll be fun. Alrighty, folks. So we got one more segment on the day. Thank you guys very much all for being here. You know what? Let's do our patron scroll now, actually, while we're here, because it seems like the screen share is working correctly. So dudissidence.com. There we go. Got it. Perfect. Pulled that up. All right. So folks, we're going to break here for a word. Our paid subscribers, we thank you all very much for being a member here. You can go to patreon.com/dudissidence. You can also go to dudissidence.substack.com and become a member for as little as $5 a month. You get call-in access to our weekly Q&As, our post-show Q&As, which are exclusively on Rumble. You also get access to 2 bonus live streams per month, and you get your name up in lights. You can also join our locals, dudissidence.locals.com, for as little as $5 a month. And one of the cool things about joining the locals, because they have this capability, we would have made this available across the board, but Patreon and Substack do not have this capability. We will, starting next show, be live streaming these shows to locals as well. So the show will still be available, obviously, on YouTube and Rumble, but we'll be live streaming them to locals, where there will be a members-only chat. So if you're a paid locals member, you will have a little private suite, a little private box to watch the show with the other locals members. So if you want to do a members-only chat with them, you can do that. So that is a feature that'll be unique to the local subscribers starting this Thursday at 9 a.m., which is our next show. So we will start live streaming to locals as well. So that's a fun little added perk of joining there. You can support us, like I said, for as little as $5 a month. This helps censor-proof the operation. We want to be as unreliant on censorious platforms as we possibly can, and as reliant as we possibly can on free speech platforms and those of you guys who support us and support free speech media. So dudissidence.locals.com if you want to join there. You guys are the backbone of the show. We appreciate all of you very much. We say it every time because we mean it every time. Okay. All right. We got one more, right? We got one more song on the show today before we pause for a day off tomorrow. Alrighty. So Russell made reference to this earlier in the show, and it is true. It is true that those mask bans that are in place on Nassau County. Well, the first protester has been arrested for violating the anti-mask ordinance in Nassau County, Long Island. So here we have a tweet from Breakthrough News. Police in Long Island, New York targeted and arrested a Palestine Solidarity activist for wearing a keffiyeh under Nassau County's Mask Transparency Act. Those who violate the mask ban, wow, times have changed, face a misdemeanor charge punishable by up to a year in jail and a $1,000 fine. So here we have a video report from Breakthrough News.
Where the fuck is Baba?
Police in Long Island, New York. Here, I'll read this since the font's a little small, so I'll start this one more time. My apologies. Police in Long Island, New York targeted and arrested a Palestine Solidarity activist for wearing a keffiyeh under their Mask Transparency Act. Those who violate the mask ban face misdemeanor charge punishable by up to a year in jail and a $1,000 fine. The arrest is one of the first since the ban was passed last month. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he wants to bring the Nassau County ban to New York City. Activists say bans like this are unconstitutional, unsafe, and designed to repress protests and increase surveillance. The arrest took place during a protest in Cedarhurst, New York, opposing the sale of Palestinian land. Participants reported that police used their other repressive tactics, including horses, to push protesters throughout the day.
Walk! Everybody walk now!
So there you have it. The first arrest of a protester under this. Now, this was not the first person to be arrested using this ordinance. That happened a couple weeks after it was signed into law. It was signed into law on August 15th. And the first person who was arrested in violation of this mask ban was a teenager. A teenager was arrested over the weekend. This was a few weeks ago in Nassau County, New York, after he was seen wearing a mask in public. The first arrest related to the county's face covering ban, which was signed this month. So this was not a protester. This was a person, as you could see. Weslin Omar Ramirez Castillo, 18, of Hicksville, was arrested on Sunday in Levittown after officers responded to reports regarding a suspicious male walking down Spindle Road dressed in black and wearing a mask to conceal his identity, Nassau County Police said. Police released a photo showing him wearing a ski mask that covered his face but showed his eyes. Ramirez Castillo allegedly continued to display suspicious behavior while attempting to conceal a large bulge in his waistband that ended up being a 14-inch knife, officials said. Police said that officers stopped him and patted him down under the mask law and found the knife. Ramirez Castillo allegedly refused to comply with officer commands and was placed under arrest. He was charged with criminal possession of a weapon, obstructing governmental administration, and charged with violating the Mask Transparency Act. He was arraigned Monday at First District Court in Hempstead. Okay, so that's a report of a suspicious individual walking around with a mask clearly designed to conceal his identity for no particular reason, because he was walking alone at night, and he had a giant bulge in his pants that ended up being a weapon, right? So contrast that with here, where the violation is just, oh, you're protesting with a face covering so that there aren't political and social repercussions to you protesting here, right? Apples and oranges, I would say. But there is the mask ban at the protest being used for its desired intent, right? Somebody walking around with a ski mask, acting erratically with a bulge in his pants, that's a suspicious individual that you're probably going to call the cops about anyway, especially if you see there's something weird in their pants, that they have a gun or a knife on them. But this obviously part of a crackdown on speech, part of an expansion of the surveillance state. Now, if you are there and you want to protect your reputation by covering your face, they will say, no, that's against the law. Now you have to expose yourself to reputational harm if you want to protest a genocide. Now, I personally think we should all work up the courage and fortitude.
Or if you just want to celebrate Halloween.
Yeah, it's true.
This is also a crackdown on Halloween.
It's also very anti-Halloween. They should be writing tickets on Halloween. That would be hilarious.
It's particularly cruel in the fall season.
That's true. They could have waited until after Halloween to get this going. But yeah, now you have to be willing to incur reputational harm in Nassau County if you want to protest a genocide.
Now Mr. Wonderful won't hire you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Eric Adams wants to bring this to New York. Now, look, I mean, it's easy for me to say this because I've always been someone who hops around from job to job. I've never had much of a career to maintain, at least not one that depends upon me staying in the good graces of my normie boss. So I get it. I mean, it's easy for me to say this on the one hand. On the other hand, I hope we can move past this point where we're all afraid of these consequences. Just show your face and tell the truth about what's happening. That's a show of strength. Again, easy for me to talk that way. I understand why certain people don't, especially if you're a college kid and you got, law firms already rescinding offers and billionaires like Kevin O'Leary threatening to do a deep, dark check on you and dox you and things like that. But if this comes to New York City, this is going to be even more of a widespread problem. I mean, this is in Nassau County, where, as you could see, the reason I added that story, like, you don't need a mask ban. Like, whether that guy was wearing a face covering or not is kind of immaterial. I mean, maybe the face covering made him a little more suspicious because he was concealing his identity. But as the report said, he's already acting erratically, and he apparently has a weapon on him. So you'd probably call the cops on him no matter what. You're not really calling the cops on him because he's violating the mask ban. You're calling the cops on him because he's acting erratically. It's already normal to call the police on people who are acting erratically and seem to have weapons on them. You don't need the mask ban. The mask ban is not intended for guys like that. It's intended for guys like this, who was arrested at the protest.
Originally, wasn't it an anti-COVIDian thing? Because the libs at first were against it.
Right.
And now you, because it was a COVID thing.
Right.
And now they're for it because, I see. Look, and this just really shows the danger of promoting selective restrictions on civil liberties when you like it. Because a lot of people who are, going to be apoplectic about the government banning our speech online, we're all for that. Yeah, those COVIDians, make them not. Okay, well, now look how they're using it. Look how they're using it. Now that they have that restriction. No, I don't mean us.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. I was always against it, even on those grounds. Like, look, man, if you want to wear a mask on the subway.
That's your personal business. Just don't make. You want to be against making you do it. That's another story. But other people doing it, that's their business. If they want to do that. Now you let this genie out of the bottle.
Right.
Now the Democrats like the idea too. Now that they see what you could do with this. New York, of course. Man, that would be crazy if they try to impose that in New York. Especially because, I mean, I'm joking, but not joking. We have like I think the largest Halloween parade in the world in New York.
Well, of course they're going to lift it for Halloween. I mean, they're not going to not. Are they going to do that on Halloween? Unless you have a
Maybe.
What would be the ultimate
That
troll?
would be the ultimate troll. Everybody come out with keffiyehs.
Yeah, have a free Palestine protest on Halloween, the night where they won't enforce that. Because they're not going to enforce it on Halloween. Obviously, it's a special thing. But at a protest, yeah. And look, what the effect that this will have at protests is it will keep the protests small, because if people are afraid of being arrested if they cover their face, they might not go to the protest. Like, that is the design. The design is to create a chilling effect to minimize the presence of these protesters. Yep. So all of it is about. They're not actually going to go around arresting people and fining people for wearing masks. There are too many people in New York City for that to be enforceable. Right? Oh, you're walking up Fifth Avenue with a mask on. What, a cop is going to come and roust you for that? No. What they want is they want the ability to do that, so that, hey, if your number is up and you are so unfortunate as to be plucked out of a crowd by a cop and charged with wearing a mask, which a year in jail for a face covering, up to a year in prison, not just a civil fine of $1,000, a year in jail for wearing a mask in public.
No, but you remember when they first passed it.
Fucking crazy.
I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure Adams was among those who was saying, well, we got to do something about this. Like, they wanted to take it to court to get rid of it. And now they say, You could do that with it.
You can scare protesters out of protesting with this.
Ah,
Let's do it. Because who's going to take that chance? Even though, like I said, it's not practical to think that they can crack down on everybody who violates this law. But you want to take a chance on that and hire a lawyer to keep you out of jail for up to a year? I mean, I would be shocked if any judge hands down a year sentence for this because it's a maximum sentence, not a minimum.
Never know.
But you never know. You never know. And that's the point. That's what they want. They want to create an environment where, hey, you never know. It's best just stay away from those protests or go and show your face and have your law firm see you in a picture and say, thanks, but no thanks. We're no longer interested. That is the effect. It's dystopian, man. These are very scary times. I mean, it's happening all around the world and right in our backyard. Yeah.
Free country.
Yep. You can no longer, what did you say? Who was the guest you raised that to? I think it was O'Malley. I think we're entering a phase where you can no longer take for granted that you can speak freely anywhere in the world.
When I travel, it is very funny to me that we call ourselves the freest country. Most other countries I go to are less restrictive than the United States is. And I'm not saying there aren't more restrictive countries, but of Western countries, and even when I went to South America, Central America, rather, yeah, man, this is a very repressive society by comparison to a lot of others. The idea, like, this is the home of the free, and hey, this is a wave across the Western world where they're trying to, through the EU, create speech codes. You saw they've gone after X multiple times to try to get them to ban speech. So I'm not saying it's a paradise over there. But I'm saying the idea that the United States is the freest country, no, that's not my experience.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's take some super chats and some Rumble rants. We got a couple more Rumble rants here. James 1, thanks for the $2. Go see the tomb Albert Pike and ask why is a Southern general have a tomb in Washington, D.C. A bit ironic. Thank you very much, James 1. Appreciate that. Furrow's Queen Fire Dancer. Low Rumble figure is because I have just arrived. Was at the cinema and lost my shit at the old bag behind me that talked all the way through and then gave me a fucking plot twist. Oh, here now, though. Thank you, Furrow's Queen. We are going to wrap the stream first, but what movie were you going to see? Curious about that. Yeah, I had this one. It's funny, the movie No Country for Old Men came up earlier. And the first time I saw that in a theater, I was looking so forward to it. And yeah, there were these three yentas who thankfully got shut up like within 20 minutes.
This is why no one wants to go to the movies anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I was 20 at the time. I was young. And so I was maybe not the asshole I am now. So I didn't tell them to shut up. Somebody else did. But, especially that movie. It's funny how this movie came up earlier. Like, it's so well done, but you have to pay very close attention to it. It's part of the genius of that movie is how subtle it is. The cinematography, there are a lot of cues in it.
That's a great movie, yeah.
There are a lot of cues in it that are not in your face, which we could talk about at a different time. The point is you have to pay close attention. You have to be able to pay close attention to that movie if you're really going to appreciate it in the first 20 minutes. That's Javier Bardem. These yentas who announce the name of the actor when he shows up as if that's information that we need to know. Yeah. So that was going on for like the first 15, 20 minutes. And finally somebody said, you guys going to talk the whole time? And they shut up. So yeah, that was good of them. All right. Should we try and move a little bit of coffee before we wrap?
Sure.
All right. Let's move some coffee here. Folks. Do you enjoy the free speech that Rumble is protecting and fighting for? Well, our show on Rumble is only possible thanks to our viewers supporting Rumble's platform by purchasing some of these Rumble products. One I'm going to tell you about today is 1775 coffee. So most of you drink coffee every day.
Yum.
Yes. That's why you got to try Rumble 1775 coffee. It's actually some of the best coffee you'll find, and it is the same price as the coffee you'll buy now, available in 16-ounce bags. But it's actually way better because Rumble 1775 coffee is free from chemicals and rich in flavor, and that's because their beans are sourced from high-altitude farms in Bolivia, handpicked and roasted weekly at their facility in Miami. So you always get a fresh brew and delivered fresh to your doorstep. And as believers in freedom, buying from Rumble helps fight back against the censorious corporations like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. So join the coffee revolution and brew rebellion with Rumble's 1775 coffee. And if you go to 1775coffee.com and use coupon code STUDIO, you'll get a free month supply of their cognitive boosting supplement, Limitless, when you buy 2 bags of coffee. So think about that. That's quite the deal. The supplement is worth more than the 2 bags of coffee put together. So go to 1775coffee.com and give it a try. That is coupon code STUDIO.
Studies show it clears out your colon better than a high-powered colonic.
That's right. That's right. Especially if you drink it early. If I can drink it early, that's right. All righty, everybody. Well, we thank you guys very much for being here. I appreciate you all.
This just came through. I am confirmed to speak at Rage Against the War Machine.
Oh, beautiful. Breaking news. Added speaker, Russell Dobler, Rage Against the War Machine. They're going to have to make you up your little card there and put you on the Twitter announcement. You know, they're going to put your little headshot there. So Russell Dobler now confirmed speaker at Rage Against the War Machine. That is going to be quite the time. All right, so that's cool. So that is going to be quite the weekend. That is going to be quite the weekend for us. We got
Already
3 rallies and a live stream Sunday night.
I'm going to be in some interesting company there. Douglas McGregor.
Yep.
Arlen Nixon, Angela McArdle, Scott Horton, Keith
There
Knight.
you go.
They're all speaking. Yep, they got Scott Horton.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
that's
yeah.
good. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's
Gonna
going to be
pull
fun.
out the A material.
That's right. So you got to get writing now. Now you got to write your masterpiece.
Yeah.
All right. Beautiful. Glad we could break that. Ken Texican, thanks for the $5 to the 3 LTRs. My critical wartime specialty did not make me special farces. What I stumbled into and report on make me much more Magoo than MacGyver. Dystopia leads to administrative fog of war. Thank you very much, Ken Texican. Appreciate that. Rebel Seer, Rage Against the War Machine, had some people speak in front of the White House last year. Confirm you'll be on the main stage. No, he's got to be on the main stage. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to be Rescue the Republic. That's the second day.
Yeah, that's the second day.
Yeah, I'm not speaking. I'm doing the first day thing.
Yeah, that Rescue the Republic is a little too pro-America for my taste. I'd go to a Subvert the Republic rally. I'd speak at that.
Well, I'm gonna be going to that with my Palestine flag shirt.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Subvert the Republic from within.
Yeah.
Have that rally to see the feds that show up in that crowd. Yes.
Burn it down 2024.
Undermine the Republic. That'd be good. Have a protest rally across the street.
Subvert
Just kidding.
all that is good and pure 2024.
Yes, exactly. All right, folks. Well, it's been a pleasure today. Thank you guys all very much for being here. We will see you again on Thursday morning live, but tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Rumble, we will be premiering our full interview with Kim Iverson, which we recorded just before we got on here today. So I'll be wearing the same clothes in that interview. Russell did the professional thing and changed so that he doesn't appear 2 days in a row with the same clothes. But I did not. I actually wore the same shirt through the meeting, the Kim interview, and this show. So we will be back.
About that. Like, I wanted to class it up a little bit for Kim out of respect. You guys, you get the Cthulhu shirt. You like this shit anyway. What, you want to see me in a black collar shirt? They don't want that.
They don't want that. Yeah, exactly. All righty, folks. Well, thank you guys very much for being here. We appreciate you all. We will see you back here tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be in the chat if you guys want to come and watch that premiere as a community, both here and on Rumble. So that will not be a live stream tomorrow, but we will premiere that Kim Iverson interview. And then we will be back again Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern for our regularly scheduled morning dew. Thank you guys very much for being here. Appreciate you all you YouTubers, all you Rumblers. Thanks very much, and we will see you tomorrow night in the chat for the premiere, Thursday morning live, 9 a.m. Eastern. Until then, thank you for today. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.
America.